Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is part 3 of a 3-part series on this job. The first one, we were forming up the garage slab. The second one, we poured the garage slab. And now we're out back of the house doing a patio slab. So today, we're just getting the forms in place. I'm going to show you in this video, a little bit about the form in here. You put in some reinforcement, us getting this poured, and how we're going to finish it. So you're going to get to see the whole package on this one video. And I'll link the other 2 videos at the end of this video. So this is just a basic 4-inch patio slab. They're going to use it to put a gas grill on, some chairs, a table to eat outside here in the summer. The sun comes up in the morning and it beats right in on this side of the house, so it's really nice and warm here in the morning, and then they get good shade in the afternoon when it gets real hot. Now the homeowner, he kind of grubbed all this out and he put in the gravel himself. He compacted it, and the rest is up to us to get the slab installed. He told us how far away from the house he wants it, and we're going to put it, we'll measure off the house, get those 2 sides done, then we'll square it, get the slab put in place and set the grade. This is basically, how we set all our slabs, except for usually like we don't have a house to measure off from. Somebody will put some pins in the corners where they want the slab corners, and then we'll get everything formed up according to the dimensions and then get it squared like that. This is the easiest way to set a slab to grade when you're using boards like this, is to use the self-leveling laser. I like DeWALT's lasers, and I'll link them down in the description of the video if you want to check them out. That'll save you a ton of time. So after we get everything pinned, screwed to grade, now we put in the reinforcement. We're using 5-foot by 10-foot sheets of wire mesh, plus we're just going to tie a little mat of rebar on top of it. This is fiberglass rebar. This 3/8 fiberglass rebar, them are 20-foot long bars, is as strong as 1/2-inch steel rebar. It's rated for the same strength. So kind of a double reinforcement, and then when we go to pour the concrete, we'll have fiber mesh reinforcement in the concrete too. This is going to be a super highly reinforced concrete slab just sitting out here on the ground. And it does slope away from the building too. So the homeowner will come back in after, and he'll finish putting crushed rock around the edges of the house, and then he'll re-loom the rest of it and get it all cleaned up. So what I'm doing now is, we just got done pouring the garage slab. That's in part 2. You can check that out. And I'm carrying the camera around from the garage slab pour over here to the patio pour, where we're using the last truck from the garage slab to finish this patio slab. Now the access was a little tough, as you can see, but it was close enough where we could hook on a couple of our chute extensions and at least reach the patio without having to order a pump truck, pay $1,000 for a pump truck to get here and just get this little bit of concrete in place. We'll just use our chutes. And we use water reducer in the concrete too. So what water reducer helps us do is, it helps us loosen up the slump a little bit, make it a little bit easier to pull around without adding water. So the concrete is as strong as pouring like a 3-inch slump concrete, really stiff and dry concrete. That's what the water reducer does for you. Now a lot of people, I get a lot of comments saying, hey, you pour soup, you pour wet. And that's pretty typical of people who know nothing about concrete. So when you see those people comment that in my videos, they know nothing about concrete and how I pour concrete, because I usually mention that on all my pours. And if you know me well, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that we use water reducer in just about everything, and I recommend it for anybody who hasn't tried it yet. So we're using, this is a 4,000 PSI concrete for the patio pour with fiber mesh, like I said, fiber mesh reinforcement in it, water reducer in it, a little bit of air entrainment in it, and that helps with freeze and thaw cycles in the winter. We live in Maine, so we get winters from the end of November all the way up into March. So this thing's going to see a lot of snow, a lot of ice, a lot of just freezing cold temperatures, and then it's going to get some sun, it's going to unthaw, then it's going to refreeze at night. And if you want your concrete to last in those type of weather conditions, you got to have some air entrainment in it. And we I didn't have any slab bolsters today to put under the wire, so we pull up the wire in the rebar in a lot of our pours. You'll see that if you watch me a lot. And again, that concrete, it's got 3/4-inch rocks in it, so it's got a lot of rock in it. Once you pull that stuff up and get the rocks under the wire, under the rebar. Even when you walk back on top of it, you don't push it all the way back down to the dirt. It stays up in the bottom third of the slab because of all the rock in the concrete. So most people who just watch videos and see us walking back on the wire, they think it goes all the way back down to the bottom. It just doesn't. It's impossible. It can't. Not with all the rocks under it. So now you know. A little bit of water in there. You see it rained the night before, and there was a couple little puddles on the dirt. So we're just pushing the puddles out through the bottom of the forms using the concrete. Concrete pushes it right out, and then we don't have to deal with that water afterwards. Now again, this is part 3. We did pour the garage slab on the other side of the building, so there's another slab already sitting over there. It's 40 by 24 by 6 inches. We have to finish that. We're going to power trowel that nice and smooth. So that's over there just setting up, getting ready for us to power trowel. And then this slab, we're going to end up putting a broom finish on. We're going to cut a couple joints down the middle each way, put a nice broom finish on it, put an edge on it. So you're going to get to see us finishing this. 2 of us anyway, while Darren's actually going to go back off camera and finish the garage slab while Luke and I are finishing this one. So this slab does slope. It slopes about 2 inches from the house out here towards the front, kind of the front of the camera where you're watching from. And yes, we're using a vibrating screed. Now if you're really fussy and you're really careful using a vibrating screed, even at this slump, you can use a vibrating screed. The concrete's not going to sag out of shape or out of slope if you know what you're doing. Just go nice and slow. Use about half throttle. You can see I'm pulling it back nice and slow. Darren and Luke are puddling the concrete behind me, making sure I got plenty of concrete so we don't have any low spots. And that's got a slope. That first piece I just did has a 1-inch slope from the middle to this front board. And where I am now, from to the right up by the house, it slopes 1 inch from that form to the middle of the slab, so 2 inches in total. You can see how that concrete holds its shape. It's not, even though it's pretty loose, it's nowhere near like self-leveling or anything like that. It's just nice and easy to work with. It's got a good paste to it. 4,000 PSI concrete usually has a really good paste in it anyway. There's a lot of cement content in it. You see us tugging up on that stuff. We make sure that stuff stays up in the concrete as we pour. We can use that corner of the come along to tug it up with, or we can use that piece of rebar, what we call a wire puller. One nice thing about using the vibrating screed is it does make bowl floating a lot easier. It makes it pretty fast. Usually we can just go down and back just once with the bowl float. Unless the concrete's starting to set up on us a little bit. Usually it's just down and back once and it's nice and smooth. The smoother, the nicer you can make it with a bowl float, the easier the finishing process is. So we like to get it really nice with the bowl float. Especially if you're finishing something by hand. If you're throwing a power trowel on it, that's a whole different story. You still want it nice, but it doesn't have to be as nice as if you're going to finish something by hand with just mag floats, steel trowels. And that's about as fast as I go with that vibrating screed, especially on something that slope. If I'm just doing a flat house floor or something like that, then I can pull it back a little faster if I want. I can give it a little bit higher throttle if I want. But really, we're not in any hurry, so we're getting this concrete dumped out in plenty of time, so Darren can get back to the garage slab, and then we're going to have a little bit of time in between the finishing process here. But not a lot. There was warm water in the concrete. It's a little chilly here. It's late in the fall. So there was warm water in the concrete. You do add a little bit of accelerator to it because the nights are starting to get down really cold. That way we don't have to cover this. And then Darren's just running the bowl float over it. Back and forth, getting it nice. And he knows that we're going to go over this by hand with just mag floats. So he's trying to just get it nice and smooth, not leave any big seams from the edges of the bowl float. And again, Luke and I are just going to clean up while he's doing this, and we're going to jump right on finishing. You're going to get to see a couple tools that we use that help make the finishing process quite easy. And they do save you some time from getting on the slab by hand. I'll tell you what they are as soon as you get to see them. But what I did want you to see is when you run the bull float across the surface of the concrete like that, and you look under that bull float as he pushes it and pulls it back, one key thing you see is how smooth it is under the bull float, how level and smooth it looks. There's no gaps. Both ends of the bull float are touching the slab, which means if it was high, if the concrete was high in the middle of the bull float, one or both of those ends would come up and you wouldn't see that little bit of line he's leaving from the end. And if it was low under the bull float somewhere, you'd see a gap under there where it's not even touching. And we'd have to throw some concrete in there to fill that in. That's what you want it to look like right there when you get done bull floating. And then what we like to do, when you pick the bull float up, just smooth that little line out. All right, so here we go to the finishing. We measured the centers of the slab each way, and we're snapping a chalk line right in the concrete to go by. And then what I'm going to do is I'm using this torpedo groover, and I'm just cutting a joint. And basically this thing goes down 1.5 inches. It's just going to score the slab. I'm not worried about it looking too pretty yet. I just want it nice and straight, and I want to get it, cut it as deep as I can with that torpedo groover. So it cuts it down 1.5 inches in a 4-inch slab. And we'll clean up that groove here in a minute. We got another tool to do that. But that pretty much guarantees it's going to crack in that joint because it's down that deep and the slab's only 4 inches thick. And that's kind of what we want. With the wire in there and the rebar in there, the slab's not going to go anywhere. If it does crack in the joint, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to move. But it's not going to just crack randomly somewhere where we don't want it to crack. We want it to crack down in that joint where you can't really see it. And then we can make those joints look, nice and pretty and straight. So here's the second tool. This kind of smooths out the joint itself. It fills in any little gaps from the rocks or anything that I've pushed down out of the way using the torpedo groover. And it just smooths it right out, gets it ready for finishing, without sinking down into the soft concrete. That's why it's built nice and wide like that. So this is kind of a walk behind joiner. So Luke's got all the joints all cleaned up, looking nice, and then I'm coming right behind him with the edger. DeWALT got their own edger. We're also using DeWALT mags here, and if we had a hand trowel, a steel trowel, we got DeWALT steel trowels too. This is what we call a funny float. Now what that does, that hooks onto some handles like this. And it's not a Fresno, it's not a trowel, it's a float, just like the mag floats that we use. And it allows us to mag out the surface, get it really nice and smooth, get it ready for finishing in advance of having to get on it with skids or something like that. So it's kind of just smoothing out the bull float even more. It's kind of like almost like double bull floating it after it sets up a little bit. And it's pretty easy to use. There's a little bit of a learning curve to it, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes pretty easy. And there's definitely a timing thing. Like you can't get on the concrete too late with this because you can't put a ton of head pressure on it. So you got to get on it in the right amount of time. You don't want to get on it too early, otherwise you're just going to have to go over it again because you're not really going to do anything different than the bull float does. So you got to let it set up a little bit from the bull float, but not so much that you can't press down on it and get it magged out nice and smooth. Those 3 tools right there are key to finishing, to speeding up your finishing process. So the torpedo groover, the walk behind joiner, and the funny float right here. I'll link all them down in the description too, so you can check them out. But all these are in my course too, where I teach you how to do this. I show you in great detail, how to do all this stuff. Now, that's what we call a mag float. That's DeWalt's mag float that Luke's using. So again, part of the finishing process. This is the beginning stages of it. Stuff you all need to do. And then this is something the homeowner wanted me to do here. He's done this in all the concrete he's done on this property. The house foundation, the house floor, the garage foundation, the garage floor. Is he had these silver dollars, and he wanted me just to embed that silver dollar right in the corner. Get it down nice and flush. and then just leave it. And he's going to leave it right in there. So we did that in the garage slab. We just poured also. We already got one in there. That was pretty cool. We don't do that every day. Now that we've let the concrete set up some more, we'll probably let it set up for about a half an hour. Luke's jumping on it with some skids, and then he's just got a hand joiner. He's going down that joint again, getting it really nice and looking clean and smooth inside the joint, making sure everything looks good, so when we broom the concrete, you know, that joint is done. Now sometimes we'll leave the picture frame look from the joint as well as the edge, and sometimes we won't. Sometimes we'll just leave the joint itself without the finished picture frame around it. So today I believe we just decided to leave the joint mark itself. It all depends on your taste and what you think things look like when you know, you want to broom finish something. And then we will go back around and edge it after and leave the finished edger mark. So basically what we're doing here is we're mag floating the concrete twice, if you think about it. We don't really steel trowel or Fresno stuff here in Maine because it's got air entrainment in it. And we've just, you know, we found in the past that sometimes if you close up the surface, if you seal it up with a steel trowel too early, that can cause problems down the road with the concrete flaking and peeling, because you're kind of trapping air right there under the surface as it's escaping, as you're finishing, and then you're brooming over it and it doesn't release that trapped air. But if you mag float it, get it nice and tight with a mag float, you can still get it really nice and tight and smooth with the mag float, but it doesn't seal off the surface like a steel trowel does. Then you don't entrap any air underneath the surface of the concrete, and we won't end up with peeling and scaling and stuff down the road. And when a lot of you guys work in warmer climates and stuff, you know, whether you're out west or down south, I know I've heard it before, you guys all think that's crazy. I don't use a Fresno or steel trowel out here, but hey, I have good results doing things my way, and you guys have good results doing it your way. Just keep doing it your way. I'm not trying to make anybody do it my way. I'm just showing you what we do and what we have good results with. And I even explain why we do it that way. I do have a DeWALT steel trowel there, but I was using that basically to clean off the top of the form as we go around and mag and edge around the form. I like to clean the top off. Another thing we do a little differently than a lot of people I see is we like cleaning that broom off every few strokes, and that way the broom marks look really nice. If you just keep brooming, a lot of times some paste will build up on the broom bristles, and they'll start leaving like little rolls of concrete paste all over the surface of the concrete as you broom. And to me, that just looks like crap. I hate that. I like nice, clean looking broom marks as I broom. I like them to all look the same. And I like the first impression when the homeowner walks around, looks at it. I like this first impression to be, wow, that looks like a really nice looking broom slab. Not have all these little concrete balls all over the place, and then I tell them, well, we'll come back the next day and just kind of knock them off. They'll come right off. Well, they don't just come right off. Trust me, I've done it before. You know, you got to kind of scrape them off, and it's really a pain in the butt. It doesn't take hardly any effort at all just to clean the broom as it builds up like that, as you can see. And then you got a really nice looking broom finished slab like that. So Luke's cleaning up his mag. I'm going to go around. I'm just going to finish the edges up using the edger. Just get them smoothed up a little bit like that. Put a little finish mark on them. And that's what that's a 20 by 20 concrete patio slab right there. That's broom finished. 4 inches thick. Luke's just touching up a couple of the broom marks there, I saw. And then here's what Darren's been doing the whole time we've been out there finishing. He's been up here finishing this garage slab all by himself pretty much. So again, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, come on back. We'll see you on the next one.